Well, good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Just days ago, a hideous crime was allegedly committed in the Washington, D.C. suburb of Rockville, Maryland. A 14-year-old girl, a ninth grader at Rockville High School, reportedly was dragged into a bathroom and violently raped. Her two alleged assailants, Jose Montano and Henry Sanchez Millian, both arrived in this country just a few months ago. Sanchez is 18 years old and in this country illegally. But instead of being deported back to his country of origin, he was instead placed in the ninth grade and educated at taxpayer expense. This is insanity, of course. It's a sign of a sick civilization at war with itself. A strong country enforces its laws and protects its citizens. That's job one. In the U.S., too often we ignore our own laws and instead allow ruin to be visited on our own people. Well, some people in Rockville are fed up with all this. There was a meeting today at Rockville High School with protests outside by angry residents. We had a reporter there, and we'll tell you more about what happened in just a minute. Apparently, their outrage does not extend to Rockville's leaders, though. The town won't call itself a sanctuary city, but it is, in effect, one. It follows sanctuary policies, and top officials there don't want to think about the connection illegal immigration might have to this crime or others like it. Montgomery County School Superintendent Jack Smith, for instance, said this.
We're not going to paint all students who speak another language, all students of a skin color, all students of a religion with a broad brush because of a really terrible incident. So I'm saying no tonight. We're going to take care of our students. We're going to take care of this student who experienced this trauma. But what we are not going to accept is people who say that 25,000 of our students shouldn't get to go to school because they speak another language.
In other words, diversity is our strength. Move along. You're racist. Shut up. Thanks, Jack. Okay, but we only knew that they were violent criminals after they had raped a ninth grader. The fact is that at least one of them, possibly both, but at least one was in violation of the law already, and because a lot of your state refuses to enforce federal immigration law, he was able to commit that rape. Wouldn't it have been better to get him out of that school and out of this country before he raped this girl?
So if he had committed a crime, it absolutely would have been better. But Tucker, let me say this. What concerns me, in addition to this type of crime, is also what I've seen ICE do in Southeast Baltimore, where I represent, where just recently a father was arrested after dropping off his son at school. He has no criminal history. His only history is violating his status and returning to this country. He escaped violence in Honduras, just the same way that my great-grandmother escaped violence and persecution in Austria, and we welcome him here. Immigrants built the fabric of this country, and Baltimore is a place that will continue to welcome them.
You know, it's pretty unbelievable that you would compare ICE, federal immigration authorities, to the Nazis, which you just in effect did, and you did explicitly yesterday, when they're enforcing laws that would have prevented this heinous crime. Would you say that to the parents of the girl who was raped? These are Nazis, these Americans who are enforcing immigration laws? Why would you say something like that?
So I extend my full sympathy to these parents. What they've been through is horrific, and to trot their crime out publicly is really kind of shameful, Tucker. And I think that the politics you're engaging in is this sort of Willie Horton-style race-baiting, dog whistle where, you know, we don't blame entire groups of people for the heinous acts of a few. For example, we're not after Dylan Roof murdered 9 people in a church in South Carolina. We don't say that all white people are terrorists.
Slow down. I'm not saying that all Hispanics are terrorists. I'm not saying anything like that. You're the one who explicitly compared federal immigration authorities to Nazis. But I mean, but even saying that out loud, I mean, is in effect an attack on this girl who told authorities that she was raped. So is your argument going to be that she invited sex with 2 men in a bathroom at her high school in the middle of the day and then lied that it was rape?
Tucker, I think what you're going to find is as this case goes on, there is a lot more evidence that will come out. And all of us involved are ethically constrained from discussing details. But this case will go through the course, and the system will have evidence that comes out. It's not just what has been the initial sensational headline.
So be honest, would you be comfortable having your 14-year-old girl in class with this guy?
I have 2 children. I live in Montgomery County. They're young children. They're not in school yet. But I want nothing but safety for my children, their friends, my family, and everyone in my community.
Right. Well, okay, we all do, but that's not answering the question. This specific guy, your client, would you feel comfortable having a loved one go to school with him?
I don't know him. I literally don't know him. And I can't begin to answer that question about a single specific individual. Certainly these allegations have caused everyone a lot of concern, and they should. This is absolutely a horrific allegation.
But I mean, I think that's something you would think through, since you're going to be arguing in public on behalf of this guy. And so doesn't his character, his capacity or not to do something like this, does that enter into it? Do you think, is this guy guilty or not? Is that a consideration for you?
Everything's a consideration. I'm sure there could be a number of questions asked about all 3 of the people involved in this. 5 days into it,
really?
You can't answer those
questions.
questions.
What would the
That's why
questions
trials
be raised,
take several months.
What would the questions be raised about the 14-year-old girl who says that she was raped in the high school bathroom and apparently whose screams were heard by her classmates? What questions would you raise about her?
I don't know. I wonder what questions were raised about the accuser in the Duke lacrosse case, or what was raised on the Rolling Stone Virginia case.
This isn't the Duke lacrosse. I'm asking you a straightforward question. You're the one who brought it up. You said questions could be raised about her ominously, and I'm asking what questions?
Well, you just talked about the character and the different aspects of Mr. Sanchez. I think everyone involved, the person accused and the person making accusation, puts their character into play.
Man, you better be right about this, because if you're going to be impugning the character of a 14-year-old girl who says she was raped, other people say they heard her screams. I mean, to impugn her character, I mean, you really, before God, better be sure that you're on the right side of this. Does that occur to you?
If you look behind me and you see these parents here in this parking lot here, Governor Hogan used the words that I want to hear, not the washed down language that we heard from the last administration and
what did he say?
The blame where it is. He used the word illegal immigrants. He wanted to know why these men were here with our children. That's the problem. If we free up our resources for so many different things by moving these people out, you see, people are very excited about what's going on. But if we use our resources to move these children out, the illegal immigrants out of our school systems and our communities, we'll have those resources to use in so many ways.
I understand, Kimberly. Thank you.
My child is here in this school, and it's so important.
You know, I mean, there's no reason why an 18-year-old who's been detained by ICE, why the school doesn't know that, and they're not aware of that, and can't make sure that that student doesn't pose a threat to other students. You know, you talk about safe spaces in education. It seems the very most basic element of a safe space would be for a 14-year-old to be able to go to school and not get raped in the bathroom by an illegal immigrant. Thank you very much, Kimberly. We'll be following the story, and we thank you for being here
These
tonight.
things are avoidable. I heard about that rape case, that young 14-year-old girl, these subhuman creeps. And the thing that really angered me is one of those guys was out awaiting a deportation hearing. That's why I said these anti-detainer policies. We don't need to change the law. We're not asking local officials, as ICE anyway, is not asking local officials to enforce immigration. They're just asking them to honor a detainer, a lawful piece of paper that says hold on to this individual until we can get the deportation schedule. These things are killing communities. They're killing cities. It is obviously, it's become a haven for criminal activity, these sanctuary cities. This is going to come to an end. I thank God every day since the November election that Donald Trump is the president of the United States. We are going to get our arms around this thing.
This young woman in particular fought to come to this country legally because of the freedoms and the treasures of this nation. And to think that this kind of tragedy would occur to someone who's personally endured that kind of struggle to come to this nation and then face this is reprehensible. And it is not who we are as a country. There's so many facets of this case that deserve question. Why was there, I think he was 17 or 18 years old. 18, thank you. And how does that person get put into the 9th grade? I mean, there are so many issues that come up in this case. I will leave it to authorities to get through, but I think that we are in the early stages of this, and there's a lot that needs to get addressed with respect to this case in particular.